Welcome everyone to the Magical Mystery School, and thank you so much for coming back. This is the channel where we look at the big astrological waves of energy that are going on right now, and hopefully applying it to your own chart and to what is coming up here. So, thank you again for everyone for likes and subscribes. And if anybody has any questions or just want to put something in the comments, please do. And I love the emojis as always. So anyway, where did we come from? Well, I'm still looking at these Epstein files that came out January 30th on a Friday night. And sure enough, on the February 3rd, when Uranus went direct, we got a lot of information out of those. So that's what we were saying, as Uranus goes direct and starts picking up speed, more and more info is going to be coming out. February 5th, Mercury came through and squared that Uranus from Aquarius, because that's fixed air to fixed earth. And then on February 6th, Mercury went on into Pisces. So things kind of slowed down a little bit, and we had a lot of distractions with the Olympics and Bad Bunny and everything like that. I actually enjoyed his performance. I would have liked to have had subtitles, because I bet you he had some cool things to say. But anyway, and just remember too, we've got Mars coming up to square Uranus on February 29th. So, or no, I'm sorry, 27th, excuse me. So just be sure you've got, yeah, that's going to be a rocking and a rolling for stuff coming out for sure. Okay, but we have Mercury going retrograde on February 26th. And that's going to be, so Mercury's going to be in Pisces for about 2.5 months, all the way to April 14th. That's when it'll go into Aries. So get prepared. Things are going to come out, be retracted, go back and forth during that Mercury retrograde. And in Pisces, it could feel excruciatingly slow and painful and all that kind of stuff. But just remember, like I was saying, when we have this, I'm calling it Jupiter July coming up in 2026, when we have all these beautiful sextiles and trions between these three outer planets, which are Pluto, Neptune, and Uranus. That's when stability is going to come in, because that's when that big Star of David is going to be up in the sky. And we'll talk more about that as we go along, and I have mentioned it already. So just remember that that's sort of our goal right now, is we're going to be working towards really kind of trying to stay calm. It's just going to be messed up. What can I say? We've gotten this far. We're all the way down here to Uranus, or Saturn is going into Aries today. I'm hopefully getting this published on the 13th. And that's really, we have been through a lot. Now, when I first looked at this, I thought the fall was going to be our stickiest time, but it looks like now with everything just kind of falling apart, is our stickiest time. So anyway, okay, so Saturn has gone into Aries here, and Neptune is already there. So they're both at 0 degrees Aries. They haven't conjunct. They'll do that on February 20th, but they're getting close. And just remember, this 0 degrees Aries is unconditional potentiality. Okay, now their conjunction in this 0 degrees Aries is going to be significant, is going to be really significant also. But just remember, we're all building up to this. And I did look at the Sabian symbol for what this beginning first degree of Aries is. And it said it was a woman rising up out of the sea with a seal embracing her. And in the explanation, they said how it was the feminine energy coming up out of that, that watery emotion of the ocean, of the water. and then having the masculine embrace her, that was a seal, to help give her form and support and that kind of thing. And it just made me think of this tarot key. This is the Lover's Key for the Gilded Tarot. And I did cover up, even she did have a little top on, but it was pretty small. I don't want to upset YouTube. Anyway, and I think this is just such a wonderful representation of the warrior masculine energy supporting and lifting up the feminine energy. And just remember, like I always say, man, woman, it doesn't matter. We all have masculine energy and we all have feminine energy. So we're really, with this 0 degrees Aries, we're really at that total unbridled freedom in your mind to really feel who you are, really getting in touch with your own joy and that type of thing. I know it seems like the world out there is pretty crazy, but just try to keep that center. That's your job, to help lift up this, lift up the world these days. Okay, so with Saturn going into Aries now, we can sort of start to, and Neptune sitting there waiting for him, we can kind of let these 3D obsessions go. And what I mean by that is things like, I got to have this car. I got to have, make this much money. I got, that kind of thing. Where we, that feminine energy is just pure potentiality. So be receptive to that, to really being able to change your mind, being a little fluid in that regard, and then letting that masculine energy support you. Remember, the Venus energy is your emotions, the Mars energy is your initiative, is going forward. So really think about who you are. Who are you right now? What have you become? Are you a kind, gentle person? Are you, that kind of thing? Sometimes we get so wrapped up in what we want to be in the future, we kind of forget about who we are right now. So really try to get in touch with that too. So that you can make the next steps of what make those intentions for this new moon coming up, solar eclipse. Just remember that the masculine is the container that's going to help lift us up. And remember also, the law of attraction. I love Abraham / Esther Hicks information books and stuff. And just remember, what you focus on, what's topmost in your mind, is what you manifest, basically. And if you're, again, this whole thing of greed, inequality, just wanting power, it's collapsing right now in front of our eyes. So don't be too, don't try to hang on to that old stuff, and don't be too upset about it. I know it's hard sometimes, believe me, but just kind of, let that stuff go as much as possible. Now, on February 15th, the sun is going to be coming in, still in Aquarius here, and is going to be, I'll move Mercury here, and it's going to be squaring Uranus. So that's that, fixed air to fixed earth. And we'll just put that, and you can see Scorpio's highlighted there too, and as well as Leo. But the two main participants are the sun squaring Uranus. And actually keep in mind the U.S. moon is right in this same area, this 28 degree of Aquarius here. So, and also remember, this is going to be a peak at when Mars comes through here and does that square. So I would kind of jot down kind of what happens on the 15th, so you can be prepared for when Mars goes over this same point on the 29th. So this could be very exciting energy, but it could be kind of erratic, and look for what triggers you. What are those triggers? And, Taurus is our fixed earth, is really representing things that don't ordinarily move. Like, that's why earthquakes, that kind of thing, especially with Uranus that likes to move and shake things in general. just be aware that there are things that you would have never thought are going to change, but yet they are going to start changing and moving and that sort of thing. And also with Uranus and Sun squaring, remember Uranus rules Aquarius, so we kind of got a double whammy here. That really is in charge of our nervous system. So take care of your nervous system. And whether that means, that you want to go out and exercise and burn off energy, if you need to take hot baths, if you need to sleep more, sleep less, all those kinds of things. But if you're starting to feel overwhelmed and kind of, this is really jittery type energy. If you're starting to feel that way, do something to ease it, to let it mellow out. And now that's the 15th in the morning. And then on the 16th, we're going to have a little bit of a reprieve here. We're going to have Mercury coming in and trine Jupiter. So Mercury's already in Pisces. And so Pisces is mutable water. Jupiter is in Cancer, which is cardinal water. And so these two are going to be trying each other, both water signs. And the third side of that trine would be Scorpio. So just be aware of that's coming up, and that'll be a good time for having good conversations. If you need to, it's very optimistic because Jupiter rules Sagittarius. Uplifting, just good conversations. And also remember, now the U.S. Sun is right in this area where Jupiter is in Cancer. Now, during this same time, on February 16th, Venus, and this is the day before the eclipse is on the 17th, Venus is going to conjunct the North Node. Now, the North Node is up here in Pisces. Where should I put him? I'll put him here. Don't you love this? How everything like, we can see where our focus is definitely on Pisces stuff for right now. And remember, the North Node and the South Node are always exactly opposite one another. And so the South Node's down here in Virgo, and the North Node is kind of where we're headed in life. It's also called the head of the dragon, South Node, the tail of the dragon, that sort of thing. And but we are using our Venus energy to go forward. So again, it's kind of that same energy we were talking about with the Neptune and Saturn all at 0 degrees Aries. We're getting a lift up of that feminine energy. And also, it's discovering our own spirituality in Pisces. So you may be making some big changes on what you think, is your spiritual practice. You may be throwing something out or inviting something new in. And this is happening right around 8-9 degrees of Pisces. So it's almost like, on your spiritual journey, be prepared for a little bit of an awakening in there, of some sort of change coming on around February 16th or so. Now, February 17th, that's our new moon, our solar eclipse at 28 degrees Aquarius, and that's when that's when the moon and the sun conjunct is just any new moon. But because it's so close to the nodes here, the North Node, that's why it's an eclipse. And it's called an annular eclipse because when the moon passes between the Earth and the sun to create the eclipse, it's not going to fully obliterate the sun. It's going to leave a ring. That's what annular means. So there will still be like this ring of fire up there in the sky where people can see it and that sort of thing. But just, it may not be a full one, but it's still very, very powerful. And we can see that fullness because this new moon is still about 10 degrees away from the North Node. When they're like within 3 degrees or 2 degrees to get that exact full eclipse viewing. Anyway, and this is also not only just a new moon solar eclipse at 28 degrees Aquarius 50 minutes, so it's almost 29 degrees. Remember, the 29th degree in any sign is called a critical degree. It's where things can get a little crazy, that's for sure. An anaretic degree is another name for it. But this is also going to be the Chinese New Year. The Chinese New Year is always the second new moon of the year. And Ramadan starts that night too. So just keep that in mind. We've got all this eclipse stuff, and we just had this square just the day before. So this could get pretty crazy and exciting. And Uranus is just turning direct. So it's still kind of on the slow side. It's not moving very fast here. The other thing too, with Venus conjuncting the North Node here, this is also the truth too. So just be aware too, more and more of the truth is going to be coming out. But this is, when you do your intentions like you do every new moon, right? Go for big ideas. Go for big dreams. This is a time to really start these new beginnings. And we'll talk about this even more with the Saturn Neptune conjunction coming up here. But this is all about, Pisces, just sort of in general, is kind of all about just let it go, right? It's the last sign of the zodiac. We're ready to be born again here in Aries for sure. Now, I did say this was the Chinese New Year, but I don't think I mentioned that it's called this year is going to be the Fire Horse year. So again, more freedom. You think of the horse as running across the prairie, right? Well, and this horse is on fire. Now, the last time we had this was in 1966. And there literally are, I don't know that much about Chinese astrology, but I know I'm born in the year of the goat. So, there's 12 different years, and then there's 5 elements, and they just have the same elements we have, plus they add wood. So that's why we have the fire horse here. And one other thing with Venus, Venus is also financial stuff. So with this conjunction here and the eclipse and the square and all that, everything else, I've heard about the possibilities of an AI bubble. Maybe that might crash. We'll see. I'm kind of curious about that. And also, I've heard about silver shortages. Now, I think that's really interesting because silver goes with the feminine principle, whereas gold is more with the masculine principle. So Venus, as well as the moon, are very much associated with just the metal silver in general. Now again, we do have this Saturn and Neptune right on the world axis here. This is a little crooked, but I can't get it to straighten out. Okay. And again, new intentions here. What are you going to create? What are you going to do to help create the new Earth? And this, it's not like you have to start a business or do something amazing and fabulous like, huge. Maybe it's just you make a commitment that every day you're going to compliment somebody. You're going to, if you see somebody and their hair looks cute, or they got a nice shirt on, or, their card is fabulous or something like that, don't just think it, say it. So, so that's, what are you going to do to help lift this energy and create a whole new Earth, basically? Okay, then on February 18th, the day after this new moon eclipse, solar eclipse, the sun is going to go into Pisces. And this is really, to me, the beginning of, well, we've got Mercury and Venus already in Pisces. But with the sun coming in, and then Mars is going to come in later. He's hanging back here a little bit. this really is that last gasp of the old, okay? When the sun was in Aquarius, you know, that's very future oriented, technology, energy, new types of energy. You know, it's ruled by Aquarius, brilliant, different, a little quirky and stubborn, being fixed air. And its ancient ruler was Saturn, interestingly enough. So that's where that different quirkiness comes in. But with the sun going into Pisces, mutable water, its ruler is Neptune. Its ancient ruler is Jupiter. Um, oh, I wanted to show you. There it is. Oops, I just wanted to show you this too right quick. So that's the glyph for Aquarius. And again, a lot of people think it's water, but it's the energy waves in the air. So like the wireless, or back in the old days, the radio waves and that kind of thing. So that's what that's symbolizing. Sounds like it should be water, but it's not. And then we have, this is the Pisces glyph. So the sun's going into Pisces. And it's basically two fish that are connected, but they're both going in two opposite directions. So keep that in mind, that you're going to have, you know, this is the, Pisces is the height of spiritual development, and it's also the worst of the worst as far as like criminal behavior and that kind of thing. Because for both of those, they're sort of in this, they're in otherworldly type atmospheres, right? I mean, I only met one person. I had a student years and years ago that did turn out to be a criminal, and like I think maybe I've mentioned this before, they really do think differently. And why I say he turned out to be a criminal, he went to the state pen in Missouri, and you know, he would just lie and about stuff, you know. So there's that kind of Pisces. But yet remember too, Pisces is also, you know, the kindest. You know, when they tell that little white lie, sometimes it's really because they don't want to hurt you or get people upset, that sort of thing. So just remember, you know, it's the same thing like with drugs. Pisces can really use drugs to help people. I mean, add years and years to cancer patients' lives and that sort of thing. But they can also be abused, and people can get addicted and really have trouble with drugs. So there is that sort of, you know, the best and the worst of things. It's also can be kind of just a confusing sign too. So that's what I mean with, this is the last gasp of all this confusion and just, you know, are we being played or what's going on? I can't quite see it clearly and that sort of thing. Now, Pisces is also the 12th house, and that can represent places of retreat. Because if you do have a friend that's a Pisces or know someone, you'll notice sometimes they just need to get away from the 3D world and just kind of relax and kind of be quiet for a while. In fact, a lot of times they actually are seen as kind of shy people sometimes. So, you know, reality can really overwhelm a Pisces sometimes. So places of retreat, and so it also represents like hospitals where people go for healing, but it also represents jails where people go to be segregated from the population. Now, with this last sign, Pisces, of the whole zodiac here, really what it's saying to us is let go, let go, let go. And we're going to hear this again with Neptune and Saturn coming up. You know, let go so you can connect with spirit. And this could be anything from you just clean out a closet to you let go, you move, or you let go of a partner or something like that, you know, something really big. So just be aware that that letting go is something you should really be conscious about trying to do at this time right now, to clean things out and such. Now, another thing, just a little FYI, this eclipse energy, I should have mentioned this, is that our fearless orange leader, he is exactly the sun moon. his rising sign is going to be exactly opposite of this sun-moon conjunction for that new moon. So just be aware, you know, we could see some stuff coming up about him too. Okay, then on February 20th, woohoo, the big day, that's when Neptune and Saturn make their actual conjunction at 0 degrees Aries, 44 minutes. And here we go, more and more clarity is coming forward. The last time they made this conjunction was in 1989. And with them both going into Aries, I thought it was really interesting. I was listening in China recently. Their two top generals literally just disappeared. If that's not Neptune and Aries, I don't know what is, right? I mean, they don't know, or at least, well, I'm sure somebody knows what's happened to them, but and then looking at Neptune, and this Neptune-Saturn conjunction is very tied into Russia. When it was conjunct during 1917, during their revolution, they were conjunct when Stalin died and Putin was born the same year. And then in 89, when the Berlin Wall came down, that was the Saturn-Neptune conjunction. So I'm really wondering if we're going to see something huge come out about the Russian invasion of Ukraine, and if there's something with boundaries, because that's another thing with Neptune and Saturn. You know, Saturn is the boundary of our 3D experience here, and Neptune loves to dissolve things. So, you know, I'm wondering if they're going to come up with a demilitarized zone that maybe the UN will police or something like that, because Russia's in bad shape from, you know, the things I watch, but you know, we'll see how it turns out for them. Now let's see. Oh, and on that day, on the 20th, when Saturn and Neptune conjunct, what is really crazy is the moon, you know, as it zooms around, it takes it only a month to get all the way around the wheel. It goes into Aries on the day before, and it's going to conjunct Saturn, conjunct Neptune, sextile Pluto, all right? And then on the 20th, after this conjunction, the moon is going to square Jupiter. And then on the next day, it's going to sextile Mars. So that, to me, you know, the moon is always kind of considered a trigger, especially for these slower moving aspects like this. You know, it's really a transit like this. You could even give it a month on either side, but definitely 2 weeks on either side of that February 20th to feel its effects and that sort of thing. So the moon is going to be really triggering this on the day it is exact. So that's going to be the next time we'll be talking. We'll be on February 20th. So I'm going to be really, really curious to see what's going on. That's for sure. So, So next time we will be talking about, you know, Mercury going retrograde and spending that 2.5 months in Pisces. We'll be talking about Mars squaring Uranus and go from there. So anyway, you guys, I hope everybody has a great week. And remember to keep your eye on that sun squaring Uranus and get prepared for this Saturn conjunct Neptune. It's going to be exciting. Oh, and the beauty of Venus and conjunct the North Node. That's a really special one. Okay, guys, thank you so much, and hopefully I'll see you next week. Bye!